Hello, dear ones. I have a microphone over here this week because it sounds so much better. Nailed it. Hi, everyone. I feel like it's been longer this week. How do you feel about that? Do you like my horns? They were a gift. Hello, Sally. Hello, Johnny. Hello, Reverend Tommy. It's a little too warm to wear this whole shebang, as usual. Although the weather is blessedly getting cooler. So, do you hold this for me? Thank you. Hello, 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 dear ones. Yes, this week I have horns, and they are made of leather. They look like dragon scales. They were a gift. I was at a festival this weekend. Called Bloom in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I had a lovely time, as I always do. It's usually a festival that happens on my birthday weekend in July. And I love spending my birthday working a festival. It is actually my best case scenario because I love hosting. This pillow situation is half the show is me just adjusting. All right, that's better. This is better. This is better. Okay. I would always rather be working on a special occasion, so I don't have to be bogged down by them. I'm supposed to be doing something special. And so on my birthday, especially, when everyone's like, well, what do you want to do? What can we, occupy your time with? But really, it always feels like I'm meant to be offering other people something to do on my behalf, which I'm not a fan of, unless I'm doing a show and then I say, come to my show. So this year, Bloom was pushed into September, and it was a bloody good time. It was indoors, if you can believe it. Usually it's for as long as it's been a thing, it's been outdoors. And it was climate controlled. I had a dressing room to myself, which was a good thing, darlings, because I brought a lot of headpieces, but just so many big costumes. And if you go to my Instagram, my Patreon, my TikTok, my Facebook, they all are flooded with images of me in my absolutely absurd, long, big, wide, fluffy outfits. And as per usual, I got a really great idea 2 minutes before curtain. This is what always happens. Has everybody got their own piece of chocolate tonight? So tasty. So I have this enormous headdress. It's like a floral crescent moon. It's heavy, but mostly just kind of unwieldy. It probably weighs 10 pounds. Maybe less. I don't know. Maybe like 5 pounds. It's just really big. And I say, you know, it'd be a great idea if I lay on the ground on the stage. And because the theme is ascension, I'll sit up. I'll be like prone. And I'll sit up with the headdress, which glows. And we'll start the show. It'll be amazing. And then I tried to do it, and I couldn't because I can't do a sit-up. I am not in enough shape to do that. So I said, okay, but what if I lay on my face with my head down, and then when it's time for the show to start, I'll raise up like a cobra, and then I'll get all the way up, and I'll balance the headdress this whole time. And I could do that, because I used to, in my old belly dancing and medieval fair days, I would balance a bottle on my head, and I would be able to get all the way down onto the ground, onto my stomach, and then all the way back up again without dropping the bottle. So I said, I'll reach deep into the recesses of my skills, and I'll do that. It'll be great. People will freak out. They'll love it. They won't know what's going on. So I go and I set, and I wait, and I'm like, we're like 30 seconds before curtain. And I start to do it, and a stagehand runs out and goes, Carmel, we need 5 more minutes. And I go, oh shit, that's gonna be a problem. Because all of the adrenaline and the balance and the hyper confidence of, I can totally do this. This is totally gonna work. And just trickled away. And I actually had to spend a lot of my energy in the next 5 minutes, like, managing my body laying prone face down on a dirty stage. And then I started doing it. I was like, well, I've decided it's been 5 minutes. I have no sense of time. It's a DJ, so it's not like I can count like 2 songs and then we're done. So I just decide, it's time. I'm doing it. They can deal with it. And I start to sit up. And the magic is gone. The magic is gone. The balancing is mostly gone. And the audience does not know what to do. They are also restless. They don't know what to do. They're kind of going, oh. But they don't know what's up. Later, I'm told that someone turned to her friend and said, this is the most art you've ever seen. You just wait. And then it happened. And she said, you see, I told you. But nobody knew what to do. No one, I mean, I didn't. This is what happens when you have a brainwave 5 minutes before you're supposed to go on stage and do a thing. You're like, oh, if only I had a herd of sheep, a shovel, and some pink dye. You know, it just never quite works out. But I had a lovely time in Charlotte at Bloom with Sitara, the producers of the event. They're an amazing aerial duo, and they run a fire and aerial and belly dancing company and a studio, and they do this festival every year. And I have never in my life seen such success at growing a community as if it were a garden. Just so thoughtful and kind and true. And I think that's why I love going every year, is because it's so honest and sincere. So that's what I did this weekend, darlings. What did you do this weekend? What is a weekend? Tell me, drop it in the comments. What have you been up to? Also tell me what you're drinking. This evening I am going with a raspberry leaf with some homemade nettle concoction and some wildflower honey, some local wildflower honey. Last week I started a new job, which was to be a costumer at the King's Dominion Haunt here in Richmond. That is very exciting for me, and it's really lovely because I am good at that kind of seamstressing. It's fast, it's dirty, it's functional, and somebody hands me a list and I just chew through it. I don't have to make design choices. I don't have to make fabric choices. I don't have to worry about wasting anything. I just put me down in front of the thing that you need done, and I will do it. Sally, you went to Parf. Nice. I hope it was wonderful. I hope that the weather was perfect. I hope you had all of the fun. What shows did you see? Drop it in the comments. I know I have a bit of a backstage pass here at Awesome Town, but last year at this time I was at Parf helping Paulo, and he's developing a new act for a show he's doing in Texas, so keep your eyes peeled, friends. Johnny or Twitch says, fought evil, same as always, went to wine. Oh, and went to wine instead of vodka? Not your usual, but a good night for it. I have been in a wine mood. I don't know what it is. I've been in a wine mood. I haven't had any lately, but I'm in a wine mood. And tonight, darlings, it's a full moon. Happy full moon. What are you easing into on this full moon in Pisces? It's very gentle. She's just so pretty. She's up in the sky, and she's just radiant. She's not asking any questions. She's just inviting us to be contented and just ease out of some stress. Reverend Tommy says, Kentucky Ren Fair, glass blowing at Highland Games. Oh, that's right. Then overnight back to Parf for Sunday. You are a crazy person. You know that, Reverend Tommy? You're very busy on the weekends. And I saw some of your pumpkins. I loved them. They're so cute. They're green and blue, and I like them muchly. They would look really good in this room, I'm just going to say. Just saying. Great weather. Damo Ignis, the Mud Squad, Tommy's Doiko, Alex Snubbly, lots of... Yes, excellent, good. Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. These horns were a gift to me from a vendor at Bloom, known as the Odd Cog. She does such cool, thoughtful leather work. And there was one of her masks was actually one of the alien creatures from Alien. I think is from that. It might. I'm not sure. I'm not up on the horror. So it looked like it was one of those creatures, like scorpion creatures on your face done in leather. It was so cool. In other news, I also just received as a gift a Krampus costume. I can actually be part of the Krampus walk this year in Richmond as a Krampus. Although it's called a crumpet because it's kind of gentle and Muppety looking. So it's a Krampus Muppet. Crumpet. A face hugger, yes. Oh, Reverend Tommy says he's going to have those adorable glass pumpkins up on his Etsy shop. Drop a link, friend. Drop a link. Okay, darlings. Welcome to the GlamourHobo Bedtime Tales. I am your GlamourHobo Bedtime Tale teller, Carmel. It is my pleasure to be with you here on Monday nights. I'm super excited still about my new frame that goes all the way around my screen. Thanks to Stephen Warwick for doing that for me, or as we know him, Stove Oven Mitts. And tonight, I thought we would continue with Speakeasy because it's getting to the weird stuff. And as much as this is about me using my reading voice to just soothe you, I find sometimes that we just skip around too much for you to actually keep track of any kind of story that we're doing. So we could go back to space opera, and we could continue with Creatures of Light and Darkness, and we could continue with with Speakeasy, which is what I would like to do. And maybe it's just because I like doing the New York accent. What would you like? Drop it in my comments. Johnny O Twitch, did you get your postcard this month? And tell us what kind of wine you're drinking. Don't be shy. If it's box wine, I'm not here to judge you. Box wine's actually really leveled up in this world. Franzia is not your only choice anymore. Oh, what a nice night. All right. Please show the teapot. It's gold. I admit I bought it from TJ Maxx like 10 years ago, but... Oh, good. I'm glad you got your postcard. Johnny O Twitch is one of my patrons, so they get a Kitsch from the Road. No, you get a postcard every month from my travels. I think that one came from House on the Rock, which would have been 2 weeks ago. Jesus, has it only been 2 weeks? It's been a long month, dear ones. Tomorrow I start my 10-hour shifts at King's Dominion as a costumer. All right. Let's go. I've done our warm-up. We've limbered up. We're going back to Speakeasy. 1709. The big party's on 17 tonight. A double birthday for King Lear and the Mad Mauler, a silver screen slicky and the heavyweight champion of the world. Though how the Big M crunched that poor bastard's face in Toledo, nobody can figure. Unless somebody loaded down his gloves with something special. Unless 1919 was a mighty fine year for crossing palms in the Artemisia lobby while the seals barked like their 3 stupid fates with 1 beach ball between 'em. Never you mind, I guess. By the time Frankie shows, it's Gimlets and Gamora up there. The Slovenian tenor who made such a thumping glory of Carmen's last month plays Apollo, singing arrows from a serious mister of a bow, whacking his shots into the moose head hanging over the elevator, popping the lights in the hall, telling filthy jokes about bear fucking to girls on roller skates. He laugh blows through 3 octaves. Doors are flung open. People pouring in and out. The whole floor is shaking, hopping, dancing, hollering. Through one door, Frankie K can see a naked girl standing in a washtub pouring champagne over her head and reciting the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, while everybody throws dimes over their shoulders like she's the goddamn Trevi Fountain. Side note, I've been to the Trevi Fountain in Rome. King Lear, wearing his prop crown, has Cordelia bent over a chest of drawers in the back bedroom, huffing, "Now, gods, stand up for bastards! while he does his big scene on her back. On the floor of 1790, the Mad Mauler's own pad, there's 6 or 7 cats playing dice on the rug. Frankie looks closer. It's no game he knows. Bone dice. Burned-in pips. One girl looks up at some player who's got 50 years over her and hisses. Double 5 and the antelope burns, old man. Her face looks like she swallowed a limelight when she says it. Frankie shivers. He taps Antelope Girl's shoulder. She looks up at him, all milk of innocence. Have you seen Zelda? He asks. Who? Zelda. Zelda Fair. About this high, short black hair, smile like a punch in the gut. Oh. No, mister. I haven't seen her all night. I'm sure she's here, though. Who'd miss this out? At 1 o'clock, the Mauler's gonna go around with that fat man from the pictures. Don't you run off. You'll find her. I think I saw her in the washroom, grunts one of the other dice jockeys who just this morning bought the fastest racehorse in Australia and put him on a boat to California. If you're missing a girl, always look in the washroom, I always say. The dame's choice locale for passing out, hopping up, getting hers, bawling like a dog, or gossiping like a goddamn parakeet. Frankie trips over a bottle of Pernod, a top hat, a wolfhound, a stone-drunk textile heir, and a child star with blonde curls like cinnamon buns, all on his way to the bedroom-sized washroom of room 1709. He expects the door to be locked, but it swings open, not even latched. It's empty in there. Pink tile with green chevrons, 3 oval mirrors with electric lights, and gold frames to make your face a painting. Hart's tongue ferns in bronze vases, panther skin to dry your footsies, and a grand tub, lizard clawfoot, hacked out of a hunk of malachite hauled all the way back from the Congo by a fellow who said he was coming to cure malaria. Amethyst taps shaped like rhinoceros heads, one grimacing for cold, the other panting for hot. That's where he finds her. Zelda Fair, hiding out, lying in the bath in her oyster shimmer dress, strings of black pearls floating in the water all around her, stockings shriveled around her toes, a flapper mermaid caught with her fins out. You're the boy with the eggs, she says, all dreamy and cool. It's a voice she learned when she was young and learned good. A voice that doesn't give up a damn thing. A voice that sounds bare and silly and sleepy, though it's the best armor she's got. Zelda doesn't let her real voice out to play anymore. It might tear her throat out. You got any on ya? What are you doing in the bath? He blurts, when he meant to say, I came to find you because you're perfect. Frankie hasn't got the smooth God gave a porcupine, but he meant to do better than that. I'm writing a novel, Zelda purrs. She adds in a giggle, a little dash of, aren't I just the maddest thing you've ever met? You wouldn't go thinking I'm serious, would you, darling? You wouldn't do that on me. That's not how you write a novel. Shows what you know, silly. Well, I do know, actually. I go for a typewriter myself. Oh? Zelda does this move in the tub, spinning around and turning over at the same time to come up over the lip of the thing, and flashes her eyes at Frankie, who has no defense against that sort of thing. Who does? The tub sparkles with green light. She sparkles too. Zelda sparkles so good men think it's love. Do tell. Mostly detective stories just at the moment. He rubs the back of his neck like some hick farmer confused over seed, and before he can shut up, he's spilling it all. Before I joined up, I pounded out a whole book. If the war was going to get me, I figured I'd leave something behind. Something real. Something good. Trouble was, it wasn't real. Or good. I'm still working on that part. The real and the good. But what I want is to do something big. I will. I'm gonna be famous. I can feel the books I might write just sitting under my ribs, like another heart. Don't we all, honey? That's what I do professionally. Wait around for something big. Frankie's heart does a foxtrot in his liver. I think you're something big. Zelda laughs, her little old me laugh. That's mighty sweet of you to say, but I'm not yet. Don't you just love not yet? It's like waiting to be born. I could be anybody yet. I could be a ballerina, or a swimming champion, or a pocket watch, or a Christmas pudding, or a jackal. Are you drunk? Completely, darling. Zelda rests her chin on one dripping hand. Jackals are really the cutest little things, did you know? It's only that they scream, too. They scream like death coming for you right quick. That's why they're in the Bible acting the fool. I think I'd be a fine jackal if I put my mind to it. It was not going Frankie's way. Talking to Zelda felt like talking to a radio. It talked back, but you couldn't call it a conversation. Don't be cross, she whispered, sliding into the water so only her eyes showed above the green stone tub. I like to talk is all. My daddy always said a lady's gotta sit still and hush her mouth except for please and thank you and you don't say. But it's not fair to do that to a girl. Talking is the most fun you can have. Clothes on, clothes off. It's everything in the world. Don't you think you ought to do the only thing you can manage that animals can't just as often as possible? I suppose parrots can talk too, but no one pays attention to a thing they say, and mostly, when I talk, it's like being a parrot. Men say, oh, aren't you clever, and scratch me under my beak and give me treats. So I talk nonsense quite a little bit, because it's fun. And they don't pay any attention anyhow, only it's not really nonsense. It wouldn't be nonsense if you knew me extra well. I am here to tell you Frankie Key is a lost cause from here on out. If he ever had a hope of getting out of her alive, it circled the drain, that big green tub, and slurped its way down to hell. I'm very much feeling that last paragraph, by the way. Very, very much. I just talk is all. What's your book about? He said softly. Zelda Fair rolled back in the tub water, breaking over her tummy, rolling down her throat. She called him with one crooked finger, and the boy in the silver meringue suit skedaddled over on the quick. She crooked her finger again. He bent down. The reek of gin snaked up his nose. She was swimming in the booze supply. Her pearly dress stuck like an oil slick to her breasts. The drying liquor on her shoulders made her skin prickle. And then Frankie clued in. From where Zelda was pulling her gin nymph routine, the acousticals of that pink washroom and the cracked door and the room outside wrestled all together in a weird pool of voices. From where Zelda was bathing, she could hear every word, even whispers that the party coughed up. Zelda touched the fennel flower in his buttonhole. She didn't kiss him, though, even though she liked kissing almost about as much as she liked talking. Whew. Truth, I agree. Her mama once said not to kiss anybody you told a secret to. It wasn't safe. If you stick around long enough, she whispered instead, every night turns into a book. All you gotta do is stick it on a page. A trumpet blurted out something rude in the world outside of the pink washroom. "What's yours about?" Frankie took a shaky breath. "Things I can't have." "Mine too." We are reading Speak Easy, the short story of Zelda Fitzgerald and the 12 Dancing Princesses folk story mashed together by Cathrynne M. Valente. I am your bedtime tale teller, Carmel. It is a pleasure to be with you. 1552. Nobody lives in 1552. Vacancies do happen, even here. Oh, it won't last. By the party at Robin Hood's pad, 3 flautists from the Philharmonic will have gone in on the place together, pinned up sheet music for wallpaper, and lip-linered their embouchures with Chanel number Harlot in the round bathroom mirror. Embouchure. I didn't know that's how you spelled embouchure. Embouchures. Embouchure. And back around Halloween, the shortstop for the Yankees called 1552 home and hearth. Poor fella lived in terror of being alone, but got so tongue-tied around the dames that all he could spit out was his own statistics. Miss Georgie knew the shorty plenty well. Every night he called down for Red Riding Hood, Jorinda, Vasilisa, even the odd Momotaro when he felt really out of sorts. "It ain't home when it's just the one of me," he explained every time, and home is where he hung his dick. Folks have done worse to feel safe. But he got himself traded out to Cleveland, and now 1552 was that embarrassed hangdog look empty flats get, like when you seen them naked and they don't even know where they lost their clothes to, so you're both stuck on looking. True story, though. One of my favorite things to do when I was working in a box office, because we had loads of empty time on our hands and a computer with an internet access, I would go on Craigslist and I would look for photos of couches, especially free couches. And they were so sad. Just so hangdog, so sad. If you've ever seen a used couch on Craigslist, it is one of the saddest things you can see. It tells a lot of tales. There are a lot of sins to be answered for. I don't know why I got such a kick out of that, but try it sometime. This works out for Zelda and her keychain knight. Harold Colbacher can slide that lock as easy as eating. "I gotta see," he told Zelda. "I gotta see what's on the other side. Won't be a tick." But there's nothing on the other side. Nothing on the dining room wall where Zelda's closet wall shimmies 1550 up against 1552, where the little sudden door in her closet should open up and say how do to the ball player's supper tray. Smooth, flat drywall, paisley wallpaper, the solid, happy sound of studs where Harold knocks on the wall like somebody's in there and gonna answer. Back over to Zelda Fair's sitting cross-legged in her wardrobe. Sallow diva, floating on a sequin cloud. Dresses, both hers and belonging to the O's, thrown everywhere, in baskets, salad bowls, and bunched up on a footstool where she perches, staring at the door in the wall like she's done every day. She wasn't fixin' stoves since turkey and stuffin' ruled the table. Mr. Puss Boots roosted next to her, balled up tight, his big bill on her knee, half asleep. The door's different now. It's gone purple, like it got bruised. There's grapes and oak leaves and seed pods carved into it. The knob is a face with closed eyes. It used to be plain white, she whispers when Harold comes back to scratch his bald spot. She starts talking before he's all the way in the room. He jogs to catch up with her talk. When it got here, it was just plain white. Brass knob, just a door like every other door in the hotel. I thought, gee, I'm dense. All this time living here and I never noticed there's a door in the closet. But I'm not dense, Mr. K. When we moved in, there wasn't anything here but a pelican. I'd have seen it. When I hung up my dresses. When Ollie hung up her trousers. When Opal stacked up her fabrics in here. We'd have all seen it. There was no door, and then there was a door. That's what happened. And you'd think, wouldn't you? When something like that happens, it's because it wants you to come in. It wants you inside it. Otherwise, why bother? Just kick around Door Park or wherever your own business, but it's locked up good. It doesn't want me, I guess. She reached out her fingers to stroke the door. Come on, baby. I'm nice. I promise, she whispered. Everybody says I'm nice. Mr. Puss Boots chortled softly in his sleep. Zelda never thought pelicans could sound so much like plain old chickens. Well, let me at it and we'll see what an old thief can do, Harold sighs. It's hard going with a pelican staring over your shoulder. It should have been an easy crack. These old skeleton locks, you just look at 'em sideways and they cry uncle. But it won't let go. The tumblers won't tumble and the pins won't pin. Sticking his pick in there is like throwing a pencil into a forest. He rubs his neck, sweating fierce. Okay, Miss Z, I can bust it off all the hinges or I can hack out the lock with the saw. I hate to do it that way. It's brutish and it shows no style. But that's all I got. No, cried Zelda Fair, who can't bear the thought of the door getting hurt on her fault. Right. Then I can take a mold and cut a new key for it, and that'll cost you high, but can't go anywhere, honey. There's nothing on the other side. At best, you'd get a little bit more space for your stockings out of it. I say eat your steaks and pet your bird and go about your life, like you said. Funny things happen in the world. Probably you were too busy with your hat boxes to notice a little thing like this. Don't worry about paying me. I didn't do nothing, and nothing deserves no pay. Just you take it easy. Ease up on the drink, maybe. Accent, Harold. Mr. Puss Boots watches Zelda Fair in her dressing gown, frying her T-bones in an iron skillet. The fat pops. A drop burns the inside of her wrist. The pelican shakes his pouch, which is his own way of showing worry. Mr. Puss Boots loves his girls. They're a damn sight better than the antiques hawker who'd bought him from the Bronx Zoo and pretty much just thought of him as another Chesterfield chair, then fucked off to Mexico and left him with no fish and a dry bathtub. His girls never let the bathtub stand empty. He can paddle about in it as much as he wanted, and they had herrings all the time. Zelda tosses him a chunk of beef, which isn't as good as herring, but what is. She sits in the window while the stars come out, eating her bloody meat, sipping at the silver flask, which turns out to be ginger ale. Not the vicious, bitter, death-causing kind, but ginger ale like it was before old Mr. Volstead ruined everything. Soft and bubbly and sweet and beerily heavy in the blood. Mr. Puss Boots shuffles his webbed feet. He is a guilty bird. He knows how to get into that door. The key showed its face before the door did. Popped up on the lip of the sink like an old toothbrush. Mr. Puss Boots couldn't help it. It was so shiny. It was so gold and bright. It looked like a herring. It didn't taste like a herring, though. It tasted like the sea, with no other pelicans anywhere. He'd kept it at the bottom of his pouch. Didn't want to swallow it that night. No, sir. Didn't want to give it to Zelda either. But now she wanted it so bad, and he had it, and a bird heart can only hold out so long. He wished the O's would come home. They'd drag her out to a party, and when Zelda danced, she was happier than a basket of eggs. Mr. Puss Boots shakes his beak, and in another half-second, he's burped up his secret. But Zelda hops up from the window and makes a beeline for the closet. She has a T-bone in her hand, still stringy with meat, stuffed with marrow. She sits down in the gowns again, holding the bone in her hand like a pistol. It must be the ginger ale moving her hand for her. A girl's hand wouldn't do such a crazy thing. She sticks the bone in the lock and turns it. And it turns. The little door in the closet opens inward, all smug and satisfied. Zelda looks down, downstairs, turning circles into the dark. And then she's gone. Zelda leaves the door open behind her. When you're that excited, you can't keep silly things like who might follow you on the brain. Mr. Puss Boots sighs. He bites the doorknob and pulls it shut behind him. Humans never clean up after themselves. The pelican takes a deep breath, puffs his feathers like a dandy on a date, opens his wings, and sails out into the great big hulking black space beyond the wall of room 1552. His wings stretch wide as a diving champion, as wide as he can go, flapping all the way out for the first time since he came to Manhattan. Hot damn, it feels good. It's a long way down. That is the end of part 1 of Cathrynne M. Valente's Speak Easy. How are you enjoying it so far? Are you lost? Do you have questions? I'm going to pour yet another cup of tea. This is my 3rd cup of the last hour. All right. It's going smoothly. No questions. All right. Part 2. Coffin varnish. Housekeeping. Come on, duckies. You've been waiting all this time. I know you. I said there was a basement right there in the beginning, and you've been waiting for me to get there. Drumming your fingers and peeking over the pages for a little peek at something dark. Trying to see round the curtain at my little peep show before I'm ready to show you my big secret Hades-approved hell titties. Well, hop to it. Put in your dime. Shut the door behind you. Miss Zelda Fair, she walks through walls. What's happening here? Okay. She walks forever. Forever walks her. Don't seem sensible there should be so much artemisia in the artemisia. Her eyes get used to the dark, big as spinning plates. There's blue at the bottom, blue like water, blue like an eye. She thinks on a time when she was just a tiny thing and found a little cave on the back 40 that hadn't been a cave before on account of ferns and mud and mushrooms, but rain washed all that away and left a perfectly marvelous hiding place. Zelda knew it was hers right off. Like a puppy in a shop window, she'd be the bat queen of slimy rock and lord it over the land of the creepy crawlies, which she'd quit being afraid of as soon as possible. She'd dance her ballets in there and be every Donna that ever prima'd, and the worms would be wowed. They'd applaud, all wet and quiet. But Mama Minerva ruined it. Came looking and found little Zelda dressed flash and muck with beetles in her hair. Never again, for goodness sake. Minnie would have it filled in with concrete by supper, and Zelda wouldn't have any buttered rolls to boot. Why, Mama? Because ladies don't crawl into holes, my heavens! Ladies don't swim naked either, or smoke, or run with boys, or cross their legs, or curse, or eat too much, or get blotto because they're bored and only feel half alive about every other month. Being a lady is just the worst thing since the first thing. Zelda would stay a girl if that was the shape of things, and a girl till she died. A man's waiting at the bottom of the stairs. Zelda's never met Al before. She didn't know him from a cricket. Never been in the basement. Too busy upstairs by half. He's all over blue. Blueberry cream suit with a blue mushroom in his buttonhole. Blue light coming out from the pool behind him like the whole sky. His scars look like they could almost spell something if you could just squint right. Over his shoulder, voices whiz and whir, splashing giggles, the kind of sighing that means somebody's about to get what they want. Thursday is delivery day down here in the underworld, and looky, a surprise package for Al, all wrapped up nice like he likes them. Give it over, he says, but he says it with a smile like he's giving her something. What? The nightgown, for starters. But then I'll be naked. You're already naked, doll. That doesn't really make any sense, but Zelda strips off her pistachio green satin sleeping number, and Al takes it over his arm. Onto things too, sweetheart. But price of admission, cupcake. You want it or not? Into what? Al grins. It splits his face like another scar. He gestures to her brassiere. Okay, then. Men do always want your underneath, don't they? It's not so odd. Zelda Fair strips down to her belly button. She doesn't even try to cover up with her arms like a stupid Botticelli girl who thought her hair could save her. Slippers, he says. Fine. The ribbon in your hair, and stop stalling. Whatever you say, Papa. Al hands it all off to some tall corpse of a fella Zelda could swear is Mr. Bayou, the head concierge, but she doesn't want to think too long on that. Take the third cabana on the left, kitten. I'll be waiting in the shallow end. Now, probably she could have argued, but that man in the blueberry suit didn't even look surprised to see her walk out of the wall. And once you've crawled through a magic door, it pays to go with the flow, don't you know? In for a penny and all that jazz. Red cabana number 3 has got a bathing costume for her. Black, silver stars, a swimming cap with licks of painted blue flames dancing up all over it. When Zelda gets her kit on, she sees underneath it a little china plate from the Green Tabernacle, their own pattern, frogs and treasure boxes dancing around the rim. It's a choice. She knows that right away. Pick one and come on in. The water's fine. 6 red pills, a syringe like a spindle full of woolly moon juice, a matchstick with a thick blue head carved all over with little dancing wooden bodies, almost too small to make out. They're perfect tiny dancing shoes. Zelda looks at the dish. She thinks about Minerva, about the cave all filled in like a damn pothole. She takes all 3. one. Everybody knows a tree needs water to sink her roots in. The Artemisia gets her end wet in the chlorine paradise under her respectable floors. There's beauty in that pool like chum in the sea. Nobody Zelda recognizes, and the It Girl's job description includes knowing everyone and their plus ones. It looks like one of those flickies where all the girls swim at the same time and turn their heads at the same time and point their toes at the same time. Well, they plunge their heads down under the water like they never needed to breathe in the first place. Except everybody's kissing like money down below. All you want to do is get some. All anybody wants from you is more. Zelda thinks about blushing good and hard. She's one of those girls born without the natural ability to blush. She had to learn it. And Zelda learned by slapping herself whenever she saw something she shouldn't or felt ashamed. Slapped and slapped until her blood knew what to do when the time came. She knew now was a blushing time. So many boys in the water, all perfect and hard and soft, and their eyes looked so warm, so warm. Boys laying half in and half out like a mermaid, like nymphs, like girls, like Zelda did all the time. Lying like you do when you know you're going to get watched. Lying for someone's lust to land on. And the girls, not lying at all, but hollering and smoking cigars and swigging straight from kegs the size of bedrooms, burping and roaring and telling jokes so raw they sounded like meat. Zelda thinks she's never seen hair shine like it does down here when the pool of wisdom at the bottom of the hotel that was the whole of the world, never seen water bead so perfect on such perfect skin. Al doesn't indulge. He doesn't sweat in the hot rainstorm funk of the place. The black pillars drip with water. The ceiling glitters wet as starlight. The big man puts out a hand. Alberic Miro, goes the chant he's beat out 1,000 times. Juan de Bordeaux, Aubin Charlotte, Oberon the Ox of Athens. But you can call me Al. Everybody calls me Al. It's easy in the mouth and as true as anything else. She knows who he is and what she can call him. Everybody knows. Where'd you first hear the name? Beats me. It's written on the walls, brother. But Zelda's shy. The nice thing about going to parties and not throwing them is you never have to meet the supply man. You never have to clean up after. Al smells like clover and beer and like the cave on the back 40 where she danced for the creepy crawlies way back when. But you can't say that stuff to a man with a cut-up face and fists like Judgment Day. You just say something like nice, like Zelda did. And this is what Miss Z said. She said, "You got a lot of names, mister." "Sure do. I collect 'em. Some fellas like stamps. Some go for moths from around the world. But me, I'm the man with the names. Pinned out nice in a case, plucked from the deepest forests this old dumb planet ever dreamed up. All I got's Zelda Fair." Poor Midge. You're only little yet. Maybe if you're good, I'll let you borrow one of mine. His piggy eyes go squint. But you've already been up to borrowing out of my pocket, haven't you? You found my puppy, naughty thing, playing with what ain't yours. I didn't find any dog, honest. My door, kid. I keep her on a tight leash most times, but she does get free on the odd occasion. She loves me brutal, but wild animals gotta hunt. Can't whip it out of them, breed it out, or kiss it out. They'll still trot up to your doorstep, drop a carcass at your feet, and expect to be praised. I'm not a carcass. Everybody's a carcass, Al snaps. And somewhere he can snarl and smile at the same time, and his teeth look so damn sharp when he says it. Zelda's stomach does a trapeze act. If she could see where the elevator was hiding, she'd run to beat the 4-minute mile. Instead, she talks, because even at the end of the whole world, Zelda Fair could talk the ear off an elephant. She laughs her patented, "Oh, get over your fine self," laugh, and bolts on her good time girl smile. Well, geez, Al, it was just an uppity old laundry chute. I could have taken the elevator if all I wanted was to go down to the basement. You don't have to get all fuzzy with me. Al does the sort of laugh that's not much more than a grown-up grunt. Sounds like a boar rooting at a rock. When he smiles again, Al's smile is the best weapon he owns, better than any pistol or poison and cheaper in the barrel. His teeth don't look sharp anymore. They look smooth and clean and good, like white cliffs under the moon. "You're not in the basement," he says. "Sure I am." "No, ma'am. This is the top floor. The penthouse. The showroom, showcase, show floor. Why, just look. You can see the whole city from up here." Zelda looks and sees the boys. She sees the girls. She sees the red silk tents and the food like pastel jelly sherbet marzipan castles on the room service carts, the blue water like a chlorinated womb. She sees them swimming at the same time and turning their heads at the same time and pointing their toes at the same time and kissing, and sometimes it's boys kissing boys and sometimes it's girls kissing boys, but it seems like one way or another this is the place where a boy comes to get kissed. She sees the pills in her hand and the syringe and the matchstick. She sees Al. She sees her face in the pool breaking up into a million squiggly lines. She sees her bare feet, her unpainted toes. She sees the whole city. "So, you want to see my house, or you want to give me back my dog and go upstairs and move some nice milk punch and a shimmy and go to bed like at dawn like a good little girl?" Zelda pulls out her shallow heart gamine guts. "I ain't nothing but a posy in your pocket," laugh. Down here, it sounds like a witch cackling up from the toads. Everybody says the basement's Sodom with a smile on. Once you've been there, you can't go home again. You don't even want to. No place for a lady. Good. "Gimme the land of the creepy crawlies," Zelda says, and she says it in her real voice, which decided to show up for work for once. It tastes like bourbon sloshing in her throat. Al takes her hand, all gentle, genteel, leads her into the water like she's Lillian Gish, and there's a new title card going up just as soon as this scene shuts. Al doesn't get wet. The beautiful boys and the cigar-champing girls open their arms, and Al pulls her down, and there's something at the bottom of the pool, but she can't see what it is, but it might be a mirror, and she can see herself in it. The insides of her legs, the insides of her coming up to meet the rest, and he's pulling so hard, and Zelda thinks she's gonna drown, but she doesn't. She just sinks. That is where we will leave it for the evening, dear ones. This is your GlamourHobo bedtime tale. That is from Cathrynne M. Valente's Speak Easy, the short story mashup of the 12 Dancing Princesses and Zelda Fitzgerald. I am Carmel. I am your bedtime tale teller. If you have been nourishing the service, as Ruby Rod says, please follow the links at the bottom of the screen and tip. Or join the GlamourHobo Nation, where you can get postcards in the physical mail and digital postcards on my Patreon, and behind the scenes access and early access to things as I make them. Got a lot of big projects coming up, some very, very cool things that are being built, and I would love to share those things with you. So, hashtag GlamourHobo Nation. And I hope you're enjoying yourselves on this fine full moon. And I'll ask again, what are you leaving behind? The full moon has found its roundness, its fullness, and now it is time for it to prune away. So, darlings, what will you be pruning? As I will be working 11-hour days at King's Dominion for their haunt, I will not be pruning away work, but I will be pruning away being rushed. I just hate being rushed. So I'm going to embrace that in all ways. I will take my time and not be rushed. It is my pleasure and my privilege to be here with you on Mondays. I do so love when you climb into bed with me. And if you want to catch up on this story specifically or any of the other ones I've ever read, you can go to my YouTube channel or the Nat21 YouTube channel and you can find them all there. Darlings, good night.